Welcome everybody, super excited to have you. Today, we are going to do battle on behalf of all the people at home that don't know what NFTs are. So I have invited this amazing group of people from Impact Theory University to come in and ask real questions. So we wanted to find people that are new to this, that have an interest, but don't know what NFTs are, don't necessarily understand the blockchain. And we're going to be answering, hopefully, all of your questions at home through these amazing individuals who are going to push me to really get into the nitty-gritty. Now, why are we doing this? Because Impact Theory is about to launch what we've codenamed the Founders Token. This is going to be, so if anybody's been paying attention to me for the last, call it 7 months, I've been very clear about one thing, that we are now as a company seeing everything through the lens of NFTs. For people that think NFTs is art or is what are called PFP projects, which just stands for profile picture, they will be confused as to how, if we're trying to build the next Disney, that we're seeing everything through the lens of profile pictures. That would be a very jarring revelation. But once you understand that NFTs are a technology, and one of the ways that that technology manifests in the world is through these simple art pieces. And then some of the art pieces grow more complex, but we'll get into that. The way, the anchor analogy that we're going to have through all of this is that NFTs today are exactly analogous to websites in 1997. And people and businesses were confused. It seemed like it was just an anomaly. So it's perfectly analogous to the internet in 97. And people were looking at that thinking, this doesn't make any sense. This is a novelty. It's a fad. It's going to go away, because they couldn't anticipate how the technology allowed for things like Uber. And if you're going to give me any credibility that I can see things early, I will just say this, that the exact kind of change is about to happen as a result of NFTs. And I'll explain what NFTs are in a minute, but the important thing is to understand the technology. And what it's going to do is it's going to make both the online world, which people will often refer to moving forward as the metaverse, but both the online world, the metaverse, whatever you want to call it, and the real world, more personalized and interactive. So that's why, if you think of it as that, and then you realize that this art is just one instantiation of that, then you'll have a better idea of why this is so important, why I'm going so hard, and why we think as a studio that this is the most important thing that we could get behind. And we have already allocated millions of dollars to this, and we'll continue to do so as we go along. Now, we're putting the most valuable product that I will ever release, and I really believe that this is true, and I'll say that again, the most valuable product that I will ever release as me, Tom Bilyeu, as Impact Theory, is codename Founders Token. Again, it will have a different name when we launch. We'll be announcing that soon. But it's going to be the most valuable thing that I ever do. The problem is the vast majority of humanity don't understand NFTs yet. So I have a lot of people that have shown such loyalty to Impact Theory to me that I want to make sure that we take the time to educate them so that they can at least reject this opportunity with full clarity of what it is, and then say, I still don't want it. Or hopefully, because I really believe that this product will be obscenely valuable for the people that hold it, that they get in on it. And it isn't a cheap product, though we're going to have different tiers. So there will be one that's very cheap and very accessible. Very cheap, I'll put that in quotes. It's still expensive depending on where you are in your journey. But one of them is like really expensive, sort of no matter where you are in your journey. And again, it's correlative to the value that we're going to add. So I think even at the price that we're going to be launching it at, it's probably 3 ETH, which as of today would be the equivalent of about $9,000. Even that, I think on day one, you get enough out of it that you will get far more value than that. But I want people to be able to decide for themselves. So that's why we're here. All right. As a quick, what is NFT? NFT stands for non-fungible token. The easiest way to understand what a non-fungible token is to understand what a fungible token would be. So money is a fungible currency. It's a fungible token, even easier. So if you have 2 5s and I have a 10, we could exchange those and everybody would feel completely fine with that transaction because the value is identical, even though the pieces of paper are different, even though in one case, we actually have very different forms of that same paper, but the value exchange is the same. So a non-fungible token is something where even if the things are identical, they have different value. Now, why might they have different value? So the big problem with digital items is that for a long time, if you had a JPEG and you said, hey, this JPEG is worth a lot, somebody would just screen capture that. And now they had a pixel perfect representation of that digital item. And so there was no difference. It was like you have one copy, and let's say that it's a picture of Michael Jordan dunking a basketball. You have one copy, I have one copy. They're exactly the same. So why would I ever pay money for that? I can just go screen capture anybody's that I want. Now what the blockchain has done, and don't get lost in the terminology, but what the blockchain has done is allow us to go, no. This version of that screen capture of Michael Jordan has real utility. Now, the way it has utility is it gets a little bit complicated, but you store these things in something called a wallet, and then other websites, applications can recognize what's in your wallet. So now you could go take a screenshot of that thing, but it doesn't have the metadata behind it, verified by the blockchain, that will tell the other applications that it's real. So if you show up at one of my live events and you say, hey Tom, I have a founder's token, but in reality you have a screenshot of one, I go to scan it and it'll say this isn't real. Whereas if you have a real one, I will scan it, it will check the blockchain and it will say, yes, this one is real. Therefore, somebody can screenshot it all day, but they'll never get the value out of that thing. All right, so that's gonna be my first pause point. Did that all make sense? Everybody's clear, amazing. Okay, so that's how we now are imbuing these items with real utility, which allows them to have real value. Now, to go back to our Michael Jordan example, one of the weird ways that you will see that these become subjective and that people begin to value different things, and that's why it matters that we know exactly which, even if it's an identical copy, we know exactly which copy this is. These are often referred to as edition numbers. So let's say that we run 100 copies of the exact same Michael Jordan card, for lack of a better word, and we give them all the same utility. They still aren't fungible because collectors will value number 1 more than they value number 47. They will value number 23 maybe even more than they value edition number 1 because that's Michael Jordan's jersey number. And they might value, let's say, the number 7 because some people consider that lucky, or they might value 100 because it was the last in the sequence. And so truly, each and every one of these is non-fungible because even just down to the order in which they were made is going to matter to people that collect things like this. Okay, so in a very quick nutshell, that's what NFTs are. And as you begin to understand the utility that I hinted at, like being able to come to one of our live events, that's a real part of the utility that we will imbue our project with. So when we release this product, which I need to be very clear, my lawyers have been very clear, this is not a project, this is a product. When we release this product, one of the pieces of utility that you will get out of it is you'll have the ability to attend a certain number of live events per year that we will begin doing hopefully very soon. And so we are constantly adding new things. Now, when we release the product, it will already come with a lot of things which people will be able to check the list and go, yep, based on that list, I'm gonna be able to justify the cost of this. But just so everybody knows, that roadmap will be constantly evolving because as new technology comes out, like right now, Twitter is talking about verifying NFTs so that somebody could take a screenshot, because this becomes a big part of the PFP movement, again, profile picture, is that it makes you part of the club. And if you want to signal that you're part of the Impact Theory Club, then you would put your image, that because each one of these NFTs comes with a unique one-of-one image, you could put that in your profile picture. But now somebody could do a screenshot of that. And so Twitter has recently announced that they're going to actually verify that. More and more websites, more and more applications every day are going to start coming out with, hey, we now have XYZ. Some of those people, what percentage, I have no idea. Some of those people we will partner with to be able to offer those benefits to the holders of this product. Okay, now I will open it up to questions. And truly, there is no dumb question. If you don't understand something, now is the time to ask.
I can start.
Yes, honor. Welcome.
Hello, Tom. So can anything digital be NFT?
Anything digital or physical could be turned into an NFT.
Oh, okay.
The world is about to get insane. So there are already people that are turning a physical painting into an NFT. Now, one of the advantages of that, so the art market has done very well over the last 20 years, but most people can't afford the high-end pieces of art that actually go up in value. So what can they do? Now in the world of NFTs, you could, as a collector, buy that piece of art, fractionalize it, and now sell a fraction as an NFT.
Right.
And then it expands from there. And I'll just drop a term that I don't expect anybody to understand yet, but this whole idea of DAOs, a decentralized autonomous organization. So what people are doing, there's this thing called the Nouns DAO. And every day until the end of time, they release one NFT that's a part of this collection. It will take them 27 years to get to 10,000 units, which in NFT land, 10,000 is like a thing. So it's very, very, very rare. The first one sold for $1.9 million, I think. And it looked like a Christmas elf made by Nintendo circa 1983. It sold for $1.9 million. Now, every time somebody buys one of these items, all of the money goes into the Nouns DAO. And by buying it, you're a member of the Nouns DAO. So it's essentially giving birth to a community that's really a company. And you're doing it overnight, and you have this treasury, and you get to vote on what to do with the money in the DAO. So that's a long way of explaining why somebody might want to make an NFT out of a physical item. So Manhattan real estate, for instance. Maybe you can't afford, the $35 million Manhattan penthouse, but you could buy a small piece of that as a part. If somebody were to fractionalize that condo, that apartment, then you could buy into it. And therefore, if the Manhattan property market continues to go up, you would be able to, in your small way, you would be able to get the advantage of that increase in value.
Can I just ask a follow-up question, very quick one? Can you then, if you fraction your NFT, if you buy a fraction of NFT, can you then fraction your fraction and resell this?
It's a good question. I don't know that there's precedent for it. And I think this is a good time to say that we're in the Wild West days. The SEC will ultimately have an opinion on how things can be fractionalized and all that. I think it's inevitable, though, that it becomes something that people can do. It will just be a question of how much regulation is in there. And the regulation will probably speak to how many layers of fractionalizing you could go. Right now, probably theoretically, you couldn't, only because you would have to create technology. There's already technology to allow people to fractionalize, but as far as I know, that technology does not allow then subsequent fractionalization. If you created your own thing, though, then theoretically you could do that.
Thank you.
I have a question. Well, my question was different, but first of all, I don't even understand what you mean by fractionalized.
Okay, so let's start there.
What does that exactly mean?
That amazing question. So let's take a piece of art. I think that's an easy one for people to understand. So it's one of one, right? There's how you can't rip it up. Like suddenly to have a small piece of a painting, that wouldn't make any sense. So what we do is in some cases, people will buy that piece of art, and then there's actually services that will do this for you where you buy it and then you go, I forget, Will, maybe you know off the top of your head, like fractional.art, whatever. And you go there and you say, hey, I own this NFT. You put it into their system. And then what it does, I'm assuming, is ask you how many pieces you want to break it up into, the ownership. So you're not breaking the art into pieces. You're breaking the ownership into pieces, just like an NBA team is often owned by many people and a company is often owned by many people. Now this piece of art can be owned by many people. Now, why do people do that? One, the love of ownership. Now, many people listening to this won't have a love of ownership. So they're going to be very confused as to why people will pay. Like if you've ever heard of a CryptoPunk, I think the most expensive CryptoPunk, which is a 24 by 24 JPEG image, which is so small. It is tiny. Again, it looks like something from Nintendo circa 1983, but it sold, one image sold for over $5 million. So the reason that people do that is, one, the pride of ownership, to be able to say that punk is mine. It's the same reason you buy a big fancy car, is that you want people to see you driving around in a big fancy car. It's why you buy an expensive watch. It's why you, try to have things that are rare so that you can flex. So that's just a real part of this. The other part is the value creation. So when you're fractionalizing something, you're saying, hey, I can't afford that whole piece of art, but over time, I know that that art is likely to go up in value. It's very speculative, but the person buying in is probably thinking, hey, over time, I think this will become more valuable. And so I want to be in that asset class. And so when it comes to art, art is an asset class. It's a way for people to store their value over time. So that, hey, I'm gonna buy this Picasso because I think that over time, the Picasso will be worth more. Now, for the first time in history, people are able to, because of the blockchain, being able to prove there's only 100 pieces, right? Because a slimy art dealer could say, oh, I fractionalized this Picasso, and claim that they've only done it 100 times, but in reality done it 1,000 times. The blockchain proves there's only 100 pieces, and the 100 pieces are owned by these people. So now people have comfort buying one of those pieces because they know provably rare, the item is provably rare. So now I'm going to buy one of those because I think it's going to go up in value over time. And so that's what fractionalization is, just breaking it up into fractions, right? You take a whole and then you make 4/4, right? Or 100/100ths. And then now you have those individual pieces, again, just ownerships, not like you get the left corner of something, but you get your fraction of the ownership, and you're doing that because you think that it will go up in value, or because you love it so much and you want to be like, yo, I own a piece of that Picasso. This is crazy. And that's why people do it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Tony, fire away. I have a question. Well, hey, how do you realize that value? So you buy 1/4 of this great painting, or 1/10 of this condo in New York, and the condo goes up in value. First of all, it goes up in value in what? Dollars, Ethereum, and how do you realize that value? When you sell it, obviously, I think you're going to sell it in a cryptocurrency, but you might be able.
Yeah, so I do totally. So this is a great place to start. So
because how do you buy a loaf of bread with that value?
Yeah, so I'll start with explaining the cryptocurrency side of it. So our project, there are many different blockchains. The most popular right now is Ethereum, but there are many. Our project will be on the Ethereum blockchain. And to buy something that's on the Ethereum blockchain, you will need Ether. To get Ether, you will need to do several steps, which I've created a whole video series. So I'm going to go through it really quickly now, but I want everybody to know that, one, you can go check out our Medium article, which walks people through the step-by-step on how to do what I'm about to tell you. Then we have a video series, which is literally me reading that blog essentially out loud and showing people moving around the screen. But this is the process. To get Ether in your wallet, or any cryptocurrency for that matter, I advise starting with a centralized exchange. The one I advise is Coinbase. They're the largest. They're a publicly traded company. So you go there and you have to do something called KYC, which stands for Know Your Customer. It's an anti-money laundering thing and allows the government to tax. And you're going to go there, you're going to do KYC. You're going to have to put in some information. You're going to have to give them what I had to do anyway. It'll be different depending on where you are, but I had to send them my driver's license front and back. Some people require a bill that's at the address that you're at. There'll be a few steps that you're going to have to go through. That can take time, so people don't wait, right? So our project is dropping October 13th. Don't delay, because it will take time to go through KYC, which could be anywhere from, say, 24 hours to 5 days. Then, once you pass KYC, then you're going to buy your Ether, which you will have to connect your Coinbase account in some way to your bank account. So, and we'll talk later about how you can buy crypto with a credit card. But for now, I don't think Coinbase lets you buy with credit card. But they'll let you connect to your bank, which you can do by entering your username and password to your bank, which sounds super suspect. I refuse to do it. because I was new to crypto and I was like, you must be kidding. I am not giving somebody my username and password to my bank. You are out of your mind. Technically, though, they're passing you to a third party that their whole thing is keeping that private. But nonetheless, at the time I did it, I was too sketched out. So I did it the other way, which is ACH wire transfer. And so there you give them your account number and your routing number, which I'm very comfortable doing. I've done many, many times. And then it connects your bank. You go to your bank, you wire the money in. And in the beginning, this usually takes a bit of time. They won't just release your funds right away. They have to make sure that this is all legit. You're under normal banking rules. So they're like, you can't do it on the weekend. And so there's all kinds of pains in the ass. So you want to make sure that you do this ahead of time. And then once you get your funds into Coinbase, then you're going to set up a wallet. The one you will need to do for Impact Theory is Metamask. And again, we have all these instructions, so don't try to follow along as I'm saying it now, just familiarize yourself with the players. You're gonna create a wallet called Metamask. Once you do that, now it's easy. But again, all these steps take time. So you wanna set up your Coinbase. While you're waiting for KYC, go immediately set up your Metamask. Do not wait, because they both are gonna have wait times. You want the wait times to be running concurrently so that it's not, stringing this on. So do everything that you can do right now. And then once you have your Metamask wallet, then Coinbase lets you transfer money from Coinbase to Metamask. The ETH, in this case, the Ether. Ether, same thing. It's just, most people call it ETH. So you're gonna send your ETH over to your Metamask wallet and it will show up. Now you're interacting with the blockchain. So don't panic when it takes, 10, 15, 20 minutes for the money to move over. You're gonna get a little pending thing and everybody panics the first time they send money over the blockchain because you're like, oh my God, I don't see it. Like, did this actually happen? So the good news about the blockchain is it's totally transparent. So you can actually go look up your transaction on something called Etherscan. Don't worry about how to do it yet. But in the future, as you get more comfortable, just know that all of this stuff is completely transparent. You could track it. You could go to Etherscan, look and see, oh, it's still pending. Got it. No problem. And then eventually it will get added to a block and you will have your ETH sitting now in your Metamask wallet. Once you're in your Metamask wallet, now you can buy. So, and that's what, when we launch the product, you will go to a specific URL, which of course we will tell everybody about. And then you'll go there and you will have an option to mint. And then when you click mint, it's going to ask you to connect to your wallet. You'll connect your wallet and then you're able to purchase. So I don't want anybody to be confused. It is a long process to get set up. It may take you 3 full days to get through all of that. So it could take more technically. I guess it took me probably somewhere around 48 to 72 hours to get everything set up so I could finally then transfer money. And then you have to actually do the transfer. So please, please, please do not wait until the last minute. We're saying all of this here at the end of September so that you have plenty of time to do all of that. And if people get started now, they've got, 2 full weeks to get this done, which is plenty of time, but you just don't want to delay. Okay, and how does that go up in value? So once you're holding ETH, think of ETH as a currency. And just like with any currency arbitrage, the relationship between ETH and the dollar, just as one example, they go up and down at different rates. So as of today, I actually didn't check today, but as the last time I checked, 1 ETH was about $3,000. So, and you don't have to buy a full ETH. You can buy small amounts. You can buy, 0.03, whatever. So you buy whatever amount of ETH you're going to buy. And as its strength either goes up or down, its ratio to the dollar will change. So if you can either think denominated in dollars or you can think denominated in ETH. It's up to you. I think denominated in dollars, so I can feel myself slowly transitioning to actually thinking more in ETH, at least when I'm dealing with NFTs. And so if somebody had bought a fractionalized art piece, and ultimately what they want to do is buy a loaf of bread, they are going to buy that, wait for it to go up in value, if it does, because it doesn't always, and sometimes it goes to 0, which is why people always advise, and I certainly do. First of all, nothing I'm saying is financial advice. Let me be very clear about that. The second thing is that never invest more than you can afford to lose, because nobody can see the future. Nobody can guarantee that this is going to work. So you have to go into this saying, hey, my ETH might zero out in value. Now, I don't think that's very likely, but again, I'm not a financial advisor, so I cannot give you financial advice. I can only tell you what I do in my own life. I am personally very confident that this is a revolution that's happening, and the people that get in early will be rewarded, but I'm only investing what I can afford to lose because I can't see the future. So in the scenario where it goes up in value, the ETH would go up in value, and if secretly what you really want is a loaf of bread, though I would say this is the weirdest way to get to a loaf of bread ever, you would then say, okay, I want to sell my piece of this painting. You would sell it on a market. So if it's a fractionalized item, you'd sell it on that fractionalized market. If it's a whole item, most transactions of NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain happen on OpenSea. And so you would go there on the secondary market, you would sell it. You would then transfer that from ETH back to US dollars. And then from US dollars to your bank account or wherever you want. And then you go and buy your loaf of bread. And that is how you turn a Picasso piece into a loaf of bread.
Well done, well done. That makes a lot of sense.
Excellent. Renee, what's up?
Oh, there I am. Okay, so I have a couple questions. I have two questions. I jumped the gun and I went ahead and I bought a hardware wallet, and
nice.
then I did MetaMask. I was confused between MetaMask and Coinbase. I thought they were the same thing. Listening to you, it's not. So can I backtrack and go ahead and sign up for Coinbase now, even though I did MetaMask?
Yes, and let's talk about why you were able to do MetaMask and why I actually don't recommend that people do that first. So here's the reason. And trust me, I did the same. I actually set up my MetaMask first because it's simpler. It's just much more expensive. So that's why I don't recommend that people do it in that order, but it's not a problem if you do. You just pay a higher rate.
And I told everyone that I was going to be the first person to jump in and make mistakes so everyone can learn from me.
It's amazing. Amazing, Renee. I love that.
So also I want to know, what's the difference between the hardware wallet and the MetaMask?
Amazing. Okay, so I'll answer both of those. So first of all, MetaMask is a wallet. So it's meant for holding ETH. It's optimized for that. Holding crypto assets, I should say, because it basically, if it can be put on the Ethereum blockchain, then it can be kept in a MetaMask wallet. The reason that it's more expensive is they're just not optimized for trading. So they're going to charge you higher fees. But that's where I hinted earlier that you could use a credit card on MetaMask. So MetaMask lets you use a credit card, if I remember right, and will strike me dead if I'm misspeaking here. But if I remember right, MetaMask will let you buy with your credit card Ethereum. But they charge higher rates than Coinbase, and they definitely charge higher rates than Coinbase Pro. Coinbase Pro is a free service. It's actually a totally separate app. It's the same company. So you've got Coinbase Normal and Coinbase Pro, same company, different interface. One has higher fees, Coinbase. Coinbase Pro, much lower fees. It's a little more confusing to look at, which is why a lot of people in the beginning, I looked at Coinbase Pro and I was like, no way, like that thing scares the life out of me. I'm just gonna stay here in my Coinbase. Then you get used to Coinbase and you start seeing Coinbase Pro, and then people, if you're like me, you have teammates who are like, Tom, you're paying like 3 times the fees on Coinbase. Would you please just get a Coinbase Pro account? So finally did it. And then of course, it takes like a week and then suddenly you could never go back. But dealer's choice at this point. It's just a question of fees. So if the highest fees are MetaMask, then Coinbase, and then Coinbase Pro, but then it's also sort of, it gets slightly more difficult with each tranche, which is how they get away with charging those greater fees. So if you set your MetaMask up first, no big deal. If you have something in MetaMask that you would rather have in your Coinbase, you can transfer them back and forth. And this is part of the revolution that cryptocurrency is bringing. Once you start dealing in crypto, you're going to be really pissed off at standard banking because they make everything so hard, and getting set up in crypto is hard. There's no question. It will get easier over time, I'm sure, but right now it is admittedly difficult. It just has a lot of like pain in the assy steps. It's not like it's overwhelming or anything. It's just every step is like designed to make you want to punch somebody. But once you get on the other side of it, then it's like, okay, this is so much easier. So yeah, you can send it back and forth. Just beware of transaction fees. Every time you alter the blockchain, you will be charged a transaction fee. Now, we won't get into gas wars and things like that, but what ends up happening is because there's a limited number of transactions that can happen per second on the blockchain to keep it safe, people compete to have their thing be the next thing in the blockchain. Now, when you're transferring money, it's not a big deal, so it's actually quite cheap. But when you're trying to buy an NFT, because people are often battling, because there's only, let's say, 10,000 units, so people are racing to be one of the 10,000. So they start paying more money because gas wars happen, because the people that settle the transactions, I don't want to get too complicated, but the people that settle the transactions go, who's going to pay me more to settle this? So whoever is willing to pay more gas goes first. So of all the people putting in a request to buy this thing at the same time, they're going to be ordered based on the amount of gas they're willing to pay. And so people will just start saying, this thing is going to be really valuable. I want to make sure that I'm one of the 10,000. And so it's like Ethereum basically lets you pay your way to the front of the line. And not basically, it lets you pay your way to the front of the line. So it becomes like this really obnoxious battle when something's really popular. And so we're actually working to make sure that we do everything we can to alleviate the gas fees. It's not going to be perfect, and I'm sure that there will still be some conflict, but we're very cognizant of it, and we're taking steps to ameliorate it as much as we can. So you want to be careful as you're moving things back and forth, just to be thoughtful about the fact that there are transaction fees. Now, the second question was...
What's the difference between a hardware wallet?
Yes.
And
okay.
Okay.
Security. So the good and the bad of cryptocurrency is it ushers in an era of sovereignty. So right now, you most likely keep your money in a bank, and the bank controls your money. You may have the illusion that you control your money, but oh, my friend, you do not. And so if you've ever tried to go get money, if you were unfortunate enough to live through the era before ATMs, you know that there are just times where they won't give you your money because it's a weekend or it's a night. Even now, I remember when I was struggling with finances, shall we say, that I would have less than $20 in my account. And so even though I needed $7 to eat, I couldn't get my $7 out because I had to have a minimum balance. And so it was like rage-inducing. So you trade the security that they provide for the lack of sovereignty. Once you're in crypto, if you're using a centralized exchange like Coinbase, it's just like a bank. They provide security, but they also provide some guardrails that you may get annoyed with from time to time. Like, for instance, if you put in $1,000, they may not let you use that $1,000 for 3 to 5 days, which really made me mad in the beginning. So, but they do it, and they can get away with it. Now, Metamask, on the other hand, is called a wallet for a reason. Just like when you have cash in your wallet, you have total sovereignty over that money. But it also means that you're supplying the security. If you lose it, that's on you. If you get robbed, it's like the only thing you could do is call for help, right? But at the end of the day, you're now holding it. So if it's in your MetaMask wallet and somebody comes and tricks you, which is, of course, if you guys know what phishing attacks are, they can trick you into giving up what's called your seed phrase. And if you give up your seed phrase, you're in trouble. So when you go through the process of setting all this up, and again, I cover this in that thing that I did, the tutorials, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, not even someone you love, should you ever give your seed phrase, okay? Because that is a one-way ticket. No tech person will ever ask for it. It's a one-way ticket to somebody taking everything out of your wallet. So it's giving your seed phrase is exactly like handing your wallet over to somebody to take to their house and do whatever they want when you're not looking. So if you wouldn't put your life savings in your wallet and then hand it to somebody, don't give them your seed phrase. If you would put your life savings in a wallet and hand it to that person, then you can give that person your seed phrase. But I don't know about you, but I'm not giving a tech person my seed phrase. Even Lisa, my wife, doesn't have the seed phrase, not because I don't trust her, but because it becomes another point of vulnerability. It's another person to fish. So right now, unless you can trick me, there's no way for you to get that seed phrase. So be thoughtful.
Real quick, I had another question and I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, Renee. We need to move on to somebody else. Okay. Thank you though.
Fire away.
Hey, Tom.
Dave. What's up, my man?
Hey. All right. Can you help me understand this a little bit from as an investment opportunity? So what would be the major difference between buying Series A stock in Impact Theory versus a founder's token with Impact Theory? And I'm curious, are we owning a portion of the IP that pays dividends, or is this something that, you know, when you sell it, that's when you make a return? Just how does this work as an investment opportunity?
So this is not an investment. I want to be very clear. This is a product. You should buy this just like you would buy a product, because the SEC has just entered the chat. So we are not selling a security. I want to be very clear about that. So I encourage people not to think of this as an investment, but instead to look at this as a product that you either want the value that this product has to offer or you don't. And the value that this product has to offer is massive and will give people access to a whole lot of things that I think will blow them away. It does not give them ownership over the IP. But we will be working with token holders to do very cool things where they will be able to do things with elements of our IP that a non-token holder would not be able to do. So there are certainly wild advantages that we will be announcing. Some will announce at the time, others we will surprise people with over time. But I will just say this. I'm betting my entire reputation and career that whatever amount that you pay for this at mint, I can't. Secondary market is a whole different thing, and you know, if the market decides that the value has gone up and they buy at a higher price, I cannot be responsible for that. But I will make sure that if you mint one of these bad boys, even if it's at the full 3 ETH, that you will be laughing at the fact that you only paid 3 ETH for that thing. So literally the rest of my career is about making sure that this product was the smartest no-brainer buy of anyone's life. Now, of course, there will be elements like, let's say that you buy a car and by buying the car, you get a trailer and you go, okay, I want the car, but I don't want the trailer. Well, by all means, sell the trailer. And so now you just made money off of the fact that you owned that car because that car had all these cool privileges that will happen over time. So if you, let's say that you buy the car, it comes with the trailer, you don't want the trailer, you sell it. Let's say later we give you a gold steering wheel and you're like, I don't need a gold steering wheel, so I'm going to sell that. Now over time you might realize, oh my God, in all the little extras that owning the car has given me, I've been able to more than make the money that I spent on this, plus I get to drive the car. So that is a great analogy for people to understand what this product is and how it will be just obscenely valuable to the people that hold on to it. So that's the right way to think of it. And I want to be very clear about the language that can be used around something like this. It is very important for people to differentiate between a security, which is a real thing, and if you want to invest in securities, go do that. This is not that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Tom. How are you?
What's up, Frank? I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited about all this stuff. My question is, like, for some people, the best way to learn is to go and buy some projects, get involved with different, I love how you're describing it, not on just this call, but in other areas where buying into someone's project or NFT grants them membership into like a boys club, so to speak. So my question is,
not just a boys club, just for girls too. Everybody's welcome.
Boys and girls. I don't mean it disrespectfully. Thank you for that correction. So the question is, have you come up with some ways to identify kind of more serious NFT projects where you can see that either in their roadmap or in how the developers talk about their project, that you get a sense that, okay, these people are serious about building the ecosystem, and versus those people who are very obviously setting up a money grab? Like, have you found identifiers?
It's exactly the way that I think about angel investing. So I don't invest in the idea, I invest in the person. So when you find somebody that you're like, yo, I know this person is really gonna stick with this project, then that's when I get super excited, because the vast majority of the NFTs that I buy because I want to experience what they're creating. So I'm not personally a flipper. That doesn't mean that I haven't flipped. There have certainly been some opportunities that were just, other people valued it more than I did. And so I ended up, using the analogy of a car. It's like other people said that car was worth more than I thought it was. So it's like, hey, cool, you take it. I'd rather go buy something else. And so inevitably, just like with a car, it's if other people are willing to give you more money than you would be willing to pay for that thing, well, now it's probably worth selling the car and then going and getting a different car. So I look at, is this, to just beat this analogy to death, is this car manufacturer the next Elon Musk? Somebody that's out there, they're visible, they're public, they have a reputation, they've executed before, and I can really believe that they're gonna be here for a while. And that's why, I talk a lot about my reputation is on the line with this. And so anybody that's like, I've been highly visible for roughly 7 or 8 years now. So it's like, if you think that I'm going to burn all of that to the ground over, some money, you're out of your mind. I don't need the money. So this is about building something so insane that the community gets something that is so incredibly valuable for having supported me, for continuing to support what we're trying to build. We're trying to build the next Disney. And I've always likened this to, imagine if Disney had said, hey, you can today own a frame of Steamboat Willie in whatever year he did that, 31 or whatever. And now you hold that, and either there's just a tremendous emotional attachment to it, or over time, other people would rather have that, still frame than you would. And so now you can exchange that for the money and they get that thing. So that's how we're thinking of this. So I want people to imagine that what you're taking a chance on is, do you think I can actually build a meaningful studio? If you do, then this is a no-brainer. If you don't, then avoid it, right? Because all I can do is be sincere for the rest of my career. I mean, I'm one of those guys that will work until I die, but for the rest of my career life, however you want to think about it, it's like, I'm going to build a juggernaut. That's my goal, right? I'm trying to make sure that nobody gets to the age of 15 without encountering a growth mindset. And I'm telling you that the foundation of that just happens to be the thing called an NFT. And so I'm able, because of the technology, I'm now able to create a product that my, community can buy now when it's still early, so that they can either flex, or if that car becomes more valuable to them or to somebody else than to them, then they can sell it. So, but we're only gonna make this many cars. And so we're gonna make these cars, and then that's it. And so after this, it's really the community that gets to capture that value. So imagine for a second, if I can be so bold, if Ferrari only ever made 2,500 cars, period. But because it's technology, they're always the best. So it's not like they get old over time. They stay fucking rip-roaring. They are always the fastest, the most amazing. And that's all that was ever gonna be fucking made. And we sell them on day one. Now everybody else. You decide, is that a car that you dig and that you want to stay in? Or is the rest of the world, because remember, 99.99999% of the world doesn't even know who I am. So they're not going to discover until we start releasing these projects, and they're like, oh my God, like this is a real thing. And they start to fall in love. It's like, if you got in that early, you can understand why that car is going to go up, 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 up in value.
Thank you. That was awesome.
For sure.
Hi, Tom.
Hello.
Hello. I get how NFTs apply to the entertainment industry. Got that. But I do not get how an NFT could one day apply to everyday life. Starbucks, Walmart.
All right. I've got the ultimate example for you. You ready? So first of all, I promise you, Starbucks is going to do a loyalty NFT. You're going to be able to buy an NFT, and every time you go into the store, they're going to scan your phone. It will detect your wallet. It will say, they're one of our loyal people. And so that's like the real basic way to do this. That is going to happen, of this I assure you. Then I want you to imagine a world where AR comes into being, which is not far off, my friend. So in fact, it's already here. You can hold up your phone. So imagine you go to the mall, and you know how they have those like posters on the wall that advertise something, or they've got their directories. Now imagine that those things are blank except for a QR code. You take out your phone, you point it at it, or when Apple gives us their AR glasses, you just look at it. It will read the QR code, it will connect your wallet to it, and it's gonna say, hey Nathan, I see that you're an Impact Theory insider. This is amazing. Welcome. If you go to these 3 shops, they're going to give you, and only you, not your friends, they're going to give you a discount. And Nathan, because of the things that we have planned with ours, if you've completed a year of Impact Theory University, you get a different discount than somebody that owns the same fucking thing but hasn't completed a year of Impact Theory University. So it's this hyper individualized, interactive thing that can play out in the real world, can also play out in the metaverse. Imagine you're walking through Decentraland, which is it's an online metaverse, right? So you're walking through there, but you're with a friend, and as you're walking along, a door appears for you with the Impact Theory logo on it. And you're like, yo, do you see that? Impact Theory. And your friend's like, what do you mean? I don't see anything. You're like, you don't see the door? They're like, what door? There's no door. You're like, yes, there is. You open the door and walk in, you just disappear. Your friend no longer sees you in the metaverse. You're now inside, and we've got special offers. Maybe we have a class that's available only to people inside the metaverse. Maybe we have a short film from one of our IP, like Neon Future, that can only be seen there if you have the NFT in your wallet so that you get access to that space. Dude, I have the chills. This is just the beginning. Like, as more people integrate, this is going to be so fucking insane. So it gives us a way to reward the community in an ongoing basis where I don't have to know what the future is. I just need you to have that technology associated to you on the blockchain. And then I can give you all kinds of crazy perks.
So one more clarifying point then, to use the Starbucks example, is it almost like an interactive loyalty card?
That's one instantiation. Yes, people will, for sure, us included, make it a loyalty card. But there will be other ways to treat it. It can be a ticket that gets you access. So like I said, I can read it and show you something that somebody else wouldn't be able to see because I detect that it's you.
Thank you.
For sure.
Hey, Tom.
Hello.
So smart contracts, how important for us right now to learn to make our own smart contracts, to write them ourselves, or versus hiring or like relying on programmers? And another question that relates to it is I was in a space, Twitter space that they were talking about. I think it's a website, I could be wrong. I think it's a website that you don't need coding to, they kind of like generate your smart contract. You just fill some information. What are your thoughts on that?
That is the future for sure. And I guarantee, one, because the blockchain is public, you could go right now and copy and paste a smart contract off of the blockchain. Now, knowing more about it, you'll find very advantageous, but already you can go to like OpenZeppelin and get free smart contracts. You can go to the blockchain and take smart contracts. More and more people will make their smart contracts available, and it will ultimately be just like a website where you get what are called WYSIWYGs in the website world. What you see is what you get. So it's like a really simple design interface that allows you to like either use a template or to just move things around. It will be made very simple. As of today, I have found that because it's new enough, there's a lot of hand-holding that's needed. So one of the biggest things that we've been hiring around is tech. And so we've probably added about, it's got to be close to 20% now of our staff, including contractors, is now tech. So basically the next 12 months are the year in which Impact Theory becomes a technology company, because I believe that every studio in the future will be a technology company, and that we're making real moves into that. So I would find somebody that can help you, but the more you know about it, the better.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And learning about it, man, woo, very advantageous.
So I was just wondering, what's a smart contract and what does decentralization mean?
Amazing questions. Okay, so decentralization is the backbone of what is called Web3. So basically Web3 is simply the version of the internet that is decentralized meaning it's not on one server like Amazon Web Services, where if Amazon decides they don't like your company, they can shut you down. This is your application actually exists across a peer-to-peer system of a lot of computers running, in this case, the Ethereum blockchain. So it's what are called nodes, and we're now admittedly getting to where I'm like, I know it in concept, but like I'd be hard pressed to like really explain it. But the different nodes are running your application. So if one of them goes down, it wouldn't matter. You'd still be running on all of the other ones, and so you'd experience no downtime. So people call this censorship resistant, and there is a, I think they're called unstoppable domains, and I forget exactly what they create, but the reason that name stuck in my head is because that's the idea behind decentralization. It becomes unstoppable. No one person can shut it down. And so it requires what they call a 51% attack. 51% of all the nodes across the entire setup would have to agree to shut you down before it would shut down. And so it becomes next to impossible to hack. And so recently, just a few days ago, like 5 or 6 days ago, someone tried to hack Ethereum and they couldn't. So you could actually see it, the attempt happening in real time. But because of the distributed nature of it, it became unhackable. So distributing this stuff is really the core ethos of blockchain technology, is to make sure that no bad actor can go in and take it down. But that means that as you build something where you want to interact with the blockchain, you have to build special technology to be able to do that, because it's not as simple as a website. And smart contracts, by the way, just to touch on that, smart contracts are really simple, I guess they don't have to be simple, but relatively simple bits of code that can do things. So all that technology that I talked about where it's like, hey, the QR code at the mall connects to your wallet, recognizes that you have that NFT, and then has all that functionality, that's happening within the smart code, so smart contract. So the smart contract is saying, hey, this is what I do. And it may be as simple as showing you a Bored Ape, or it could be something far more complex like in DeFi, where it's handling different transactions, it's taking in money and paying you a return. So smart contracts can get very complicated, but it's basically what allows an image of an ape, or in our case, the image of the Impact Theory logo, to become like a computer program.
What up? It's good to see you.
Great to see you. Can you define what minting is and how you go about doing it?
Yes, so minting is the moment where you bring that thing onto the blockchain. So for instance, we will have our, we're doing a generative project, which means that each one of the however many we end up releasing, which we will clearly define, I'm just not announcing it right now, those will be unique. So you will have a one of one. So no one else will have one like yours. And right now we're working on something, it's not locked yet, so don't hold me to this, but as of right now it has 4 quadrants. And you'll get unique 4 quadrants, at least in a unique order, unique color combination, that kind of thing. But over time, those 4 quadrants will be a bit like badges. So if you think of like Boy Scouts or Girl Scout badges, where you do things, you earn that, and then it shows up on your actual NFT. So that over time, yours is truly, truly unique to you and the accomplishments that you've done within our ecosystem. So whether that's opting into another one of our IP drops, like when we do something for Neon Future, which you guys will see on the roadmap, when we do something, and we actually have a project coming before that, but I can't even tease it yet. It's so fucking cool though. So when we do that project, if you opt into that, then you could change one of those quadrants because of that. So it starts to get truly, truly unique. It's like your thing. So did that answer the question?
And yes, a product, not a project. If I said project, my apologies.
Hey, Tom, how's things?
What
Great
up,
to see you,
JP?
dude. So as somebody who has seen some of the press around NFTs and the buzz, but the only negative thing that seems to come out about it is the environmental impact, right? And
yes, because this is speed round, I'll say this. There is a YouTube video I encourage you to watch called This Machine Greens. And it talks about how cryptocurrency is actually pushing it will bring about green energy faster than anything else. I don't have time to go into why. I found that documentary extraordinarily compelling. We are also, this project will be on layer 1, but our future projects are going to be, we have 2 that are going to be on layer 1. And then after that, because this shit takes time, after that, we'll be on layer 2. Layer 2 is, it takes less energy than a credit card swipe. So the energy usage is coming down by the day. We need to be thoughtful, but there's a reason that cryptocurrency, Michael Saylor refers to it as hope. Like, this is bringing something to billions of people that otherwise wouldn't have access to stable money. It gets, this is so complex for like a speed round answer, but just know we're hyper aware of it. We're doing everything we can to mitigate it. And the energy that it does use, I'm psychotically, I feel very, very strongly that the energy usage matters. So it's worth the energy. That's a better way to say it.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
All right. Can one-of-one NFT be fractionalized either before selling or after selling?
It would have to be after, and I've never fractionalized anything, so we're at the edge of my knowledge.
All right. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Guys, if anyone else has a question, go ahead and pop on in. This is speed round. So just unmute yourself.
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
Super quick. Impact Theory, I assume you're going to do a tutorial Discord server. Is that up and running?
Yes. Thank you so much. On Tuesday, what's the date on Tuesday, Amy?
Tuesday is my birthday. It's the 28th.
Nice. All right. Happy birthday, first of all. And on Tuesday, the 28th, we'll be launching our Discord, and that is where we will have all of the information, like hyper-specifics, roadmap, when, where, how much, all that good stuff. So make sure that you go there, sign up. Yeah, don't miss a thing. That will be the hub for all of the information on the product.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And happy birthday, Renee, tomorrow.
Quick question. Is the money earned in crypto taxed this year, or
Oh yes,
it won't be taxed this year because it will be taxed this year. Not until next year will you have to turn in. You know how taxes work, I'm sure. But yes, when you trade crypto, you lock in the gains. So when you spend it, then, and I am not a tax expert, but just the short answer is crypto is taxed. Make sure that you communicate to your tax accountant, or if you're using an at-home service, that you make sure that you input what you're doing in crypto. Very important.
Tom, what's the protection against dilution? So if the same company released 100 NFTs and then 1 year down the line they release 10,000 or 9,000, what protects against dilution so the value just plummets because more got released further down the line?
Yeah, technically, absolutely nothing. And so you guys are banking on the fact that I'm a man of my word, and that if I say that this is the only like impact theory sort of foundational thing that we're ever going to do, that's the only thing we're ever going to do. Now we're going to have all kinds of drops that are tied to the IP specifically, but we will only do this codename founders token once.
Question.
Yes.
Do you recommend some people we can follow or research to keep up with current trends with cryptocurrency in general?
Michael Saylor, Raoul Paul.
Writing them down.
Yeah, those two are absolutely just insane. They will lead you to other people. Anthony Pompliano is amazing. Robert Breedlove is amazing. And if you want a primer, that's our warning here. If you want a primer, then be sure to check out the episode that I did with Raoul Paul, and I did another one with Michael Saylor. The one that we did with Raoul Paul, for whatever reason, really struck a chord. So I would definitely check that out.
Got about 30 seconds if anybody else has one
Is there
parting
such
shot.
a thing as reinvesting, Tom?
With us?
With anything when it comes to NFT, you or anybody else?
Yes, I guess, in the sense that if you're approaching it like an investor with our product, I don't recommend, right, SEC? So yes, I mean, there are people that do it all the time where they'll buy something, flip it, make more money, and then go buy more stuff, maybe even in that same project. If that's what you mean, yes.
Thank you.
Word. Thank you guys. Yes.
What is gas?
Gas. So gas is another word for the transaction costs that you're going to be charged every time you update the blockchain. So you won't be charged that, for instance, if you want to list something on OpenSea that you already own, because that's all just going to happen with an OpenSea. But if you actually sell it, then there would be a transaction cost. Or if you actually buy something, there'd be a transaction cost. Or if you're transferring money, there'd be a transaction cost. So anytime that you're altering the blockchain, that's the right way to think about it, then you'll be charged.
So owning NFT doesn't cost you anything, only if you try
Not
to...
once you've bought it.
Yeah.
Super
right,
quick.
Guys.
That Oni on your mantle looks amazing. That Oni force in the back.
Thank you. That came straight from True I'm Complex. So if you know him, yeah, he's and technically it's not an Oni. That's his other project called God Complex. But yes, so shout out to him. Amazing, amazing artist. All right, guys, with that, I'm going to have to go. Thank you so much for coming and being such a phenomenal proxy for all the people out there that want to learn. I am very grateful to you guys for asking the questions. For everybody watching, thank you so much for learning more about crypto and what's happening with NFTs. You do not need to buy the product that we're launching. I just want you to be aware of what's happening in the space. I want you to be aware of the product that we're launching. Should you be bullish about what we're building and creating here and want to get in so that you can own that early, would mean the world to us if you got involved in this product. It is truly, I don't think in legacy terms, but this is about as close as you're going to get. Everything that we're going to be building here at Impact Theory, all of the different projects will be downstream of this one foundational piece. So I hope that you guys will get in so that you can reap the rewards that we will lavish the holders of this product with. So thank you guys all so much, and welcome to the world of NFTs. Until next time, my friends, be legendary. Take care. Peace.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Much
Bye.
love.
Thank you.
Peace out, everybody.